Snug piercing versus industrial piercings. Is it industrial piercing or industrial piercings? I've always been confused by that because it's actually two piercings, and orbit piercings would be. Anyway, we're gonna go through 5 rounds: anatomy, placement, healing, jewelry choices, and living with the piercing. Coming up next on the Piercing Battles, episode number 5. For those who are new to the channel, welcome to the Body Piercing and Tattooing channel. Hope you're enjoying the videos. Hope you find them helpful and useful. But you may not know who this handsome feller is who needs a haircut. My name is DaVo. I'm a professional body piercer and have been since 1994. I own and I operate the Axiom Body Piercing studio located right here in Des Moines, Iowa, inside the Skin Kitchen Tattoo. As I mentioned earlier, we're going to go through 5 rounds of pure battle between industrial piercings and snug piercings, or snug piercings and industrial piercings. Covering some of the more common subjects. This kind of gives somebody an idea of whether or not they want this or not. Just to let you know what these piercings are, a snug piercing goes through this area right here, and it goes through here with a curved barbell like so. Industrial piercings most commonly is a barbell that goes from one helix to another, or one part or area in the body to another. Kind of connects them by barbell. So let's start off with round number 1, anatomy. Snugs must have that pronounced ridge. If you do not have this ridge right here, if it's flat there and it doesn't fold, you can't get this piercing. There's no way around it. You have to have the right anatomy for it. Good news is a lot of people do. On most cases, they can be done. It does vary from person to person, though. So it's one of those things where don't be surprised if your piercer says, no, I don't think you have the right anatomy. And there are levels of what's going to work and really well and what is not going to do good at all. Industrials are extremely dependent on anatomy because we want straight lines from thing to thing with nothing in between. There can be a little bit of flim-flam and done with bending and adjusting jewelry and so forth. But the reality is, if your ear is heavily folded like this one kind of is, and this thing's really pronounced, you are a terrible candidate for that piercing, and you're going to have nothing but problems from beginning to end. So, in round number 1 goes to Snug. That was surprising. Making it Snug 1, industrial piercing 0. And that moves us on to round number 2, placement. The Snug pretty much has very limited placement. It can only really be placed pretty much in this area right here to maybe about there. That's about it. If it goes further down into this, it's not a snug anymore. It's a antitrachus. So it has to be kind of in this area, usually kind of in that mid-ear area. Industrials, of course, as I mentioned earlier, are limited to straight lines. However, there are a few of those on the ear, depending on your anatomy. There's the traditional helix to helix. There is the conch, where it's pierced here and then here and done vertically. I've seen some that have actually done and attempted to. You never know with these because you see them 5 minutes after they're pierced, but done things like a rook to forward helix, or rook to daff or dafe, or doff, depending on who you talk to. Trachis to conch. If there's a straight line and those two areas kind of line up and there's nothing in between, you have a lot more options, especially if you start bending and twisting jewelry to fit into them. You don't have that with a snug. It's pretty much this is where it goes and this is how it goes and it's this way and that's it. So round number 2 placement goes to industrial piercings, making it 1-1, going into round number 3. Round number 3, healing. Snug is a very difficult piercing to isolate. And the reason being is that it's right there. It is there. It's the part that hits the hat. It's the part that hits the pillow. It's the part that hits pretty much everything. It's just kind of sticking out there going, hey, look at me. Look at me. Let me be touched. Feel me. Touch me. Know me. Industrials, a little bit, depending on which one it is a little less in contact with stuff. With industrials, you're more worried about flexibility. The biggest difference between the two is I would say snugs are a lot more prone to rejection than industrial piercings. If you have the right anatomy, the piercing is placed correctly, and you take care of it properly, industrials are less likely to migrate, especially if the tissue's right. Snugs, though, even with the right conditions, anatomy, everything else, will tend to migrate or reject. So this one I'm giving to industrial piercings, making it now Snug 1, industrial 2. And now for round number 4, jewelry choices. Snug piercings, you're limited to curved barbells. However, there are a lot of different ends that you can put on there. As far as there's probably just as many ends as you're going to see for like a nostril piercing. Depending on how much jewelry your piercer stocks, you're kind of unlimited by what kind of designs that you want to put on there. Also, they're going to have a lot of it because those ends work on other piercings. Unlike an industrial, which tends to only work with industrial jewelry, only works with industrials. You're kind of limited to what they stock as far as ends, styles, etc. It's kind of a cookie cutter more situation off the rack. However, you can do a lot of different combinations with it. So I'm going to give this one to both of them. It's a tie. Bringing it to, after 4 rounds, Snug 2, Industrial 3. And that brings us on to the final round, living with the piercing. Snugs, much more difficult to isolate. As I mentioned earlier, this area does get a lot of contact with glasses, clothing, everything else. When you take your shirt off and on, anything that can come in contact with your ear generally tends to contact that area pretty often, or if not first. It's also more prone to snagging for that reason. It can close extremely quickly. So it's jewelry that you cannot leave out for an extended period of time. I think between the two, probably you can get away with a little bit longer with the industrial. I wouldn't suggest it, but since it's not as long of a piercing, your body is not going to compress the tissue as quickly and kind of collapse it. So you might have a little bit more leeway with an industrial than you would have with a snug. You must check the ends on a regular basis. It's the same thing with the industrial. You're limited by the amount of jewelry or type of jewelry you can put in this. I guess maybe I didn't cover this or not. Pretty much the only jewelry you can wear in this is a curved barbell. You can, in some cases, wear rings, but that's long after the piercing has seasoned and healed completely. I wouldn't suggest putting it in there right away. Industrials, they don't like abuse either, and it's something you want to avoid even after the piercing is healed, years after the piercing is healed. However, they're a little bit more stealth. They're not going to get as much contact as a snug will. Snugs are more out there, kind of just asking for it. With either of these piercings, I wouldn't suggest sleeping on them even after they heal. That pressure and bending and flexing is not going to be comfortable, and it's probably going to cause problems, even in a healed piercing. That round I'm going to give to industrials. They're just easier to live with and easier to deal with, in my opinion, than a snug piercing. Snug piercings, I've seen them heal out completely. They're 2 or 3 years old, and then suddenly they start migrating or got torn or what have you. They're just a little bit more prone to problems than industrial piercings are. After 5 rounds, the final is Snug 2, industrial piercings 4. Industrial piercings win, though whatever that means. If you have either of these piercings or you have questions about it, please leave a comment. Understand, there are caveats to both of those that really it's kind of hit or miss. Whenever in doubt, see your piercer, have them talk to you about the anatomy that you have and whether or not it's going to work well or is a good candidate. Till next time, here's hoping all your piercings heal with ease and without a single issue. And if you're in the Des Moines, Iowa area, I would love to see you for your body piercing needs in the future. Have a good day, everybody. Take care. We'll see you in that next video.